Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Me Productions bring you another movie review.
So the holiday season is in full swing, and it looks like the Oscars is definitely going to be having their work cut out for them because these movies are coming out swinging hard.
Yes, and in this video we'll be discussing the long-awaited live film adaptation of a very, very popular musical, Wicked.
Now, the Wicked musical itself was actually something I was really interested in, like when it was first. Well, basically when I was first aware that it was actually in existence. I love the original Wizard of Oz, that with Dorothy Gale and her whole gang. So being able to go back into that world was actually something that was very special, especially when we're talking about the concept of the story being told from the perspective of the witches. I love witchcraft. I love all the mystical aspects to it. So when we actually really get to delve into characters that's supposed to be that about, I'm all in. And being able to actually have witnessed the play finally after such a long time, because it took me a minute to be able to go out here and actually watch that. I absolutely fell in love with the play. Love the songs. And who doesn't love Defying Gravity? It's basically a theater staple at this point. And now having the actual chance to be able to watch on the silver screen, yes.
Now, for Wicked, this adaptation, it is basically an adaptation of Act 1, and which is marketed as Wicked Part 1.
Yep.
We'll be seeing Part 2 the following year, hopefully, because they filmed it back to back. Hopefully, it's all make sure that it sticks to landing. But even then, making sure that the first outing out is successful is such a troublesome effort in of itself.
For many films to be able to pull off and actually stick it. But for the most part, being able to experience it this go around, I'm all happy about how things turned out.
Yeah. It's considering who directed this film.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is directed by John Chu, who is, I would say for the most part, his career is mainly spotty in terms of quality.
Yeah.
He began his work with doing doing the step-up movies, of mainly films that dealt with concert movies and also the just choreography as a whole.
So needless to say, he technically was in some sorts the right person to be able to helm a project of this caliber.
But him going his other narrative-driven movies that he went to, from G.I. Joe, which is to his credit, it's the most passable G.I. Joe film.
Yeah.
Crazy Rich Asians, which it was like you blink and miss, but it's not necessarily that it's worth watching afterwards. And the movie that pretty sure gave him the reason to go ahead and do this film was his film adaptation In the Heights. I don't necessarily care for that movie.
Sure, I saw it too, and I was like, it was okay at parts, but from that very first trailer and actually seeing where he was going with it, it had to be actually witnessed and with a ticket.
So, what do we think about this adaptation of this long-awaited movie?
For the most part, Wicked Part 1 pretty much follows the beat by beat of what you would actually experience if you actually saw the play. The story, which is also an adaptation of the actual book itself, revolves around the main character of Elphaba, who is in this adaptation the character of the Wicked Witch herself. But is she really the bad guy that she was really made up to be once we actually get to see her in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz? And in this particular story, we actually really get to understand that no, everything is not what you heard.
Mm-hmm. Movie deals with a lot of social commentary on propaganda, prejudice, of course, amongst not only people who are different, but just from a variety of spectrums, not fitting into the norm and all that. And in many ways, somebody would say that this could also with it being primarily set in a school setting, like Mean Girls with Hogwarts. In fact, it's just mainly the story of how this relationship between
the Wicked Witch Elphaba
and Glinda. How they've met each other first, from enemies to frenemies to possibly something more.
Deeper kinship.
Yes. With the film also teasing the political spectrum of how everything works in Oz is something that, of course, if it will mostly be explored in part 2, but to see basically the rise of Elphaba as she becomes the character that we know and that we know from pop culture.
But again, this adaptation doesn't take the character of Elphaba, who is again the Wicked Witch of the West, doesn't take it in the sense that she becomes a truly wicked, evil villain. No, in this story, she is actually more of the anti-hero of sorts, the leader of a rebellion being brewed within the infrastructure of Oz itself.
And there's echoes of what chaoticness that Oz used to be. Even to the story's credit, of how much they use the distrust and discrimination that you see that's being played out in the film, you don't necessarily see, you don't even necessarily have an understanding of what actually went wrong in the beginning of Oz itself to where it got to this point. And that's not even something that's even in the play, but it would have been something that this film should have highlighted itself to help be a little bit more of its identity instead of just being a straight adaptation.
But they do necessarily keep in mind a lot of the fears and the underlying horrors that comes with the tension that's being built in between the scenes. That of the rebellious actions that have to be taking place for the animals in this group, in this story. Animals being spelled with a capital A, because these individuals are your average animals from our world. No, these particular groups are actually able to talk and emphasize and have their own society structures within Oz itself. And we're starting to understand in this play, or at least in this particular movie, that their voices are being silenced and they are having to be reverted to roles that are much more subservient.
Let me say, part 2 is a lot more shorter than Act 1 from the stage play, and I hope that what we're hearing from part 2, they're influencing a lot more of the book. Which will probably be helpful because...
And they did, it's like, they definitely did try to, space in some aspects of the book in this part 1 as well. But this one pretty much is a complete, almost, play by beat by what you saw in the play or what you would understand came from the earlier aspects of the book. But with a lot more stuff that's chopped off from the book that basically... There's definitely some interesting things that are going around.
Yeah, let's just say from what the stage did was sanitize the story that was in the Wicked book from mostly more adult from the book to more family-friendly stage. We'll hopefully see how it fleshes out part 2, because part 2, at the end of the day, is much more shorter act than Act 1.
But for the most part, this movie lives or dies off of its characters and specifically the actress that plays them. So starting out with Elphaba herself, the Wicked Witch,
played by Cynthia Erivo.
I am happy to report that this actually has been an outstanding performance for the most part for Cynthia playing Elphaba. She truly embodies that character through and through, to the extent that I definitely see her as Elphaba herself, and not necessarily as the actress. This is a case in which it was perfect casting for her, especially knowing that individuals they was looking at beforehand. No, she knocks it right out the park.
Yeah, there are plenty of nuanced layers that can easily be seen from her expressions. She's the way you can emotion that she conveys through her singing, but also from where a lot of the quieter moments.
Yes.
It really echoes a lot of what was able to be brought to screen. It's her is a lot more. It's more dignified reverence to this adaptation.
It's a quiet fire that is definitely burning deep within her. That you see it boiling, or at least burning under the surface, with everything that she has to go through, the disappointment of friends and family, or lack of friends thereof, and then of course the great magnitude of this power that seems to have that she's not actually able to control, but wants to desperately understand and be able to fit within the society that has shunned her entire existence.
Opposite her is Ariana Grande as Glinda.
Now, I will definitely admit I am not the biggest Ariana Grande fan. I'm not really a big fan of her music, and I definitely haven't necessarily watched her from her first outings on because this is definitely not Ariana Grande's first outing out here on screen. She had, if I'm not mistaken, she was on Victorious, the children.
She was a Nickelodeon baby.
Yeah, Nickelodeon baby. So I definitely wasn't necessarily thinking about her as anything different going into this role.
But the thing is, Austin Butler, he also started
exactly,
and he is having one of the best modern comebacks in recent memory. And Ariana Grande really proved herself.
Yes, I absolutely loved her as Glinda. She is hilarious, and at the same time, she basically embodies everything that would have came into the role of Glinda from when it was first being brought to us. Thanks to oh my God, it's just like
there's a lot like what she brings to Glinda is a lot more clarity and. Mm-hmm. Her humbleness.
I felt it was definitely a humbleness.
Also, the regret.
Mm-hmm. I feel as though, if anything, she's a truer adaptation in my eyes to what that role was actually supposed to represent. Moving on from them, we have the wonderful character of Madame Morbell, being played by
Michelle Yeoh. Finally, an Oscar winning.
Of course. And this is a role in which definitely emphasizes a lot of the strengths that Michelle Yeoh brings to a lot of her characters whenever she's in a particular story. It's definitely something that's definitely not necessarily new for her, because I actually have seen her play certain characters especially like this before. Honestly, if I were to be like really honest, it kind of mirrored a lot of the character that she played in Crazy Rich Asians, but she was in that production. So if you understand what she was like in that movie, you pretty much understand where she was going off in this one.
Continue on. The major male character in the film is Erivo, played by Jonathan Bailey. A very energetic performance. I like, at least from right now, I feel as though his performance is more played up more on the campiness side, and not much of the more emotional, like sensitive take on the character is not yet to be really shown in this. For especially in the
I feel as though if he plays his cards right, a lot of the heavy lifting that comes from his aspects in the story is definitely going to be felt within part 2. But of course, we're talking about part 1. Where he comes into part 1, where he was able to deliver, I enjoyed his presence. I was giddy whenever I actually got to see him interact with some of the characters, especially with the characters both Elphaba and Glinda, a lot of their classmates. Basically, in this particular version, he's very much emphasizing the cliche or the aspect of being everybody's ex and nobody's ex.
In many ways it was. Other characters that worth mentioning, Peter Dinklage. He voices the character
of Dr. Dillamond.
One the more only prominent animal character on screen. Not very much. It was very advertised on this iteration,
and very much at the end of the day, if you understand Peter Dinklage's performances throughout his career, this is definitely something that I feel as though was definitely in his wheelhouse. But I also want to say that it definitely didn't do anything necessarily different as well. Especially, it was actually one of those roles in this particular movie. I felt as though it was actually betterly done in different adaptations of the story.
Yeah. Speaking of which, aside from the previous leading characters, a lot of the side characters here really do just fade into the film. Even characters supporting characters that really should be played up more. From Elphaba's sister, and also the character of Bach. Those characters, when we watched the stage play,
they popped a lot more in those productions than they actually did in this movie.
And what the movie adapts are basically the same scenes that they are in, and it just proves just how much if what is written on screen isn't enough for you. That means you have to project some of your own personality into it. Like you're taking on a character that really should like also could have easily just been fed into the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's a character that's played by Bowen Yang.
Oh yeah, definitely this could have been a throwaway character all day, or just a thankless role. No, he definitely chewed up his scenes whenever he was around, and it really showed just how important it is to take a role and run with it as much as you possibly can. Because he definitely ran with his scenes.
But overall production.
This is where this movie completely slams almost everything out the park. This movie was gorgeous. Every set in this film was something that was definitely awe-inspiring. It was a complete. It felt like a dream brought to life.
Now it is highly appreciative that you can really tell that the sets were actually fully constructed with expansions and
it makes it feel lived in. It actually makes it feel real. And almost every set, from the Munchkins Village to the Emerald City
to the school of Shiv University.
I wanted to go here. If they actually end up making some amusement parks that actually embody some of the concepts that comes from this film, I will be one happy camper.
It's highly detailed sets. Very constructive, especially when it comes to doing the choreography from the many musical numbers on display here.
Especially in Shiz University.
The way they're able to utilize the sets there was nicely done.
Yes.
As far as cinematography goes, like the way they were able to capture the choreography, but also the more dynamic or special effects heavy moments, really shines through. And it's also good that the detailed costume design and makeup.
Yes, each person, you felt the distinct character that comes from each individual character's clothing that truly matches their actual expressions and their what they're bringing to the table. And wherever they got those glasses, I knew I want a pair because oh my god, Elphaba's glasses were to die for.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's just that I do have to say a minor complaint from myself personally, but it looks like it's catching on. Is for as fantastical as a world this is.
It is a bit of a problem when it comes to the muting of the colors.
Wizard of Oz is most notable for being one of the earliest films to really showcase Technicolor and all of its vibrant, saturated glory. This movie, and this is not the first adaptation of Wizard of Oz. In fact, I feel as though this is the fourth live-action adaptation.
Give or take.
After was the first 1993 movie, then you got the Return of Oz and
Pure Nightmare Fuel.
and Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful,
which I actually liked.
It's just that if it wasn't for how well the camera work, the production design and costume, and also the very strong compositions, it would have been nice to see a lot more contrast and saturation of colors. Because
the vibrancy is lacking in a lot of the elements that you definitely would have been brought further to life if they had allowed it to be actually edited in a way that would have presented it in all of its full glory.
But it is like, thankfully, from a overall package, John Chu was able to deliver, especially of course, with the musical numbers.
This is definitely where this could have been thrown right in the trash. But thankfully, no, they bring their A game with these songs. Again, if you're familiar with the play, you know all the hits by hits. If you get it,
No One More, The Wicked, Popular.
Yes.
Of course,
The Wizard and I. Oh my god! And I think actually that was probably one of my favorite ones they actually did. That was probably the best rendition of the Wizard and I that I have ever heard. She nailed that song, and Ariana Grande's take on Popular, yes.
But Defying Gravity is is where this adaptation could have easily was leading up to and could have easily failed.
But I feel as though where this adaptation its strength with that particular song in general actually comes with the production value of the song itself, not necessarily the strength of Cynthia Erivo's take on it, because the visuals behind that, once you actually get to see it, it's phenomenal.
It's a clear case of is a good strong argument as to why this movie needed to be made adapted as a film, as opposed to just leaving it on stage. But that being said,
because this is a part on one, and we're starting to come around with our concept of being able to look at part one or part two as a whole, we're going to hold off on giving our verdict on where this particularly lies for us.
So far, it's very promising. Part two, which we have to say, it will reiterate yet again, is going to be a lot more trickier.
If they're able to emphasize elements from the book and marry that within the elements of the play itself into this cinematic adaptation, then that's going to be making for one strong finish towards that end. But fingers crossed that they're actually able to pull that off, because it could easily just be just like the play, unfortunately, where it ended up becoming a lesser, watered down variation of the original Wizard of Oz story. That's not where this movie needs to go. We need to finish strong. If you have this strong of an opening, you better think that finish count too.
My name is Adam.
You know, I'm Aaron.
This has been a Sicky Media production.
As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell down right at the bottom for notifications. Please let us know. Let's get this conversation going. Have you actually got the chance to watch the play itself? And if so, how do you fare with this adaptation of Wicked brought to us?
And also, what's your thoughts on the overall Wizard of Oz experience?
I can't wait, especially since we're about to get a game coming out real soon that's going to go delving right into the Oz again. So this is actually probably a renaissance for Oz, it looks like. So who knows? I mean, fingers crossed.
But yeah, again, also, if you want to catch us on our other outlets, please look at our... So, as right now, X, but we are branching into Threads as well now, Instagram, and most popularly coming soon, Blue Sky.
Yep.
And also, of course, Letterboxd to discuss all things cinema.
But till then, see y'all later.
See you.